It is said this is a movie that has truly scared people to death. It is one of the most intense American horror films I have ever watched. It has Thai-style thrills and Japanese-style gore. It can be called a high-energy, scary movie. Hurry and watch it with your brave friends. The story begins. A girl looks ahead with a face full of fear. She sees her mother crazily biting something. On closer look, it turns out it is her own little sister. Before the girl can recover from the shock, her mother turns and shows an extremely terrifying face. The girl gets scared and runs toward the exit, but suddenly, the father cruelly locks the main door. From the basement, the girl's heart-wrenching screams are heard. A strange mark also appears on the door. Fast forward 35 years later, Molly accidentally hits and kills a deer. He decides to take it home to reward his family, but when he tries to cut it open, its insides fall all over the floor and smell very bad. It looks as if it has been dead for many months. Molly feels sick and loses his appetite. He throws the deer on the car and leaves. That night, something strange happens. Inside the deer's belly, a ghostly hand appears. Then a monster crawls out of it. Meanwhile, little Ben is sleeping soundly, when suddenly he hears footsteps on the roof. He takes a flashlight and looks up, but sees nothing. Just when he is confused, he turns his head and sees a big hole under Molly's house next door. The hole looks like it was made by some creature hitting it. As he prepares to investigate, a strange scream comes from behind. Ben turns around to look. At that moment, the neighbor's big light suddenly turns on. The next morning, Molly takes his child out to play and notices that many plants on the ground are withered. The big hole is also visible. Molly thinks maybe a raccoon passed by and does not worry much. But then, the baby in his arms suddenly cries loudly, seeming very scared of this place. Helpless, Molly quickly takes the child back inside. That night, the family is resting peacefully when suddenly the baby on the monitor wakes up. A very terrifying monster appears beside the crib. The monster stretches its claws toward the baby. Hearing the noise, Molly rushes to check. He sees it looks like his son is wrapped under the bedsheet. When he lifts the sheet, it is only a pile of sticks. Before Molly can recover, a ghostly hand pulls him under the bed. The monster enters Molly's body, taking over his body. Then it holds the baby and walks silently into the woods. Since that day, the baby has never been seen again, and Molly has never been a normal person. His body often moves in strange ways and is accompanied by a very foul smell. No matter how much he washes, the smell never goes away. Molly's strange actions are finally discovered by his eldest son, Little Di. Little Di witnesses a terrifying scene and is shocked. He no longer dared to stay at home. He hid in his neighbor Ben's house, trembling with fear. He kept saying, "Never tell your mother where I am." Ben was a bit confused, but still agreed to keep it a secret. But Molly didn't care and insisted on entering the house to take the child. At that critical moment, the child's father arrived. Hearing his father's voice, Little D ran into his father's arms like he had found a lifesaver. Back at home, Little D wanted to tell everything about his mother, but when he tried to speak, he couldn't. At that moment, his mother was standing there, staring at him. The next morning, Ben noticed Little D didn't come to school. He went to Dee's house to ask about him. Dee's father opened the door, but he seemed like a different person. He said, "Dylan, what are you doing? I don't have a child. Hey, look, you have a son. I see him. I have time to help you." Ben was completely confused. He knew there were 2 children, so why wouldn't he admit it? Ben got angry and was about to leave, but accidentally kicked the mat at the door. On the wooden board, there was that strange upside-down triangle symbol. Ben felt the symbol was very strange. When he went home, he searched online about it. He was shocked to find that the symbol represented half human, half-demon evil spirits. They live in forests for years, waiting for beautiful women to pass by, then secretly follow them and try to possess their bodies. They specifically eat the women's children. The clever monsters also charm the husband, so he doesn't notice anything unusual. Thinking about Mary's recent strange behavior, Ben realized that she must also be possessed by the monster. That explains the husband's strange actions too. The 2 children could never imagine that one day they might be eaten by their own mother. To prevent the tragedy from continuing, Ben started monitoring Mary and her family all day. He noticed Mary often went to the cellar, and each time she came out with a bag. To find out what was in the bag, Ben sneaked at night and searched the trash. He discovered the bag contained the children's things. Mary's frequent trips to the cellar finally caught the husband's attention. As he prepared to open the floor to check, Mary suddenly appeared. She whispered a few words into his ear. The next second, the husband's eyes went blank. His eardrums burst and bled, and his soul was completely controlled. Mary left confidently, but when she went to her room to take a shower, her skin started peeling badly, and her teeth fell out at the slightest touch. It seemed her current body wouldn't last long. She needed to find a new body to possess quickly. Ben noticed this opportunity. While Mary was away, he sneaked into the cellar. There he saw a terrifying horn on display, with many branches underneath. It looked like some kind of scary sacrifice ritual. Ben wanted to call the police, but then he noticed a photo of his girlfriend's family. In the photo, his girlfriend and her mother had their faces cut, but her sister was unharmed. Ben immediately realized that the monster was targeting his girlfriend's sister. He rushed to the seaside without wasting any time. Sure enough, he saw the monster had already taken the victim into the forest. Ben had no time to think and ran after them. Following the cries, he reached a tree hollow. He planned to pull the girl out from inside, but the monster's power was really amazing. Instead, Ben accidentally hit his head on a rock and fainted. When he woke up again, the tree hole had already disappeared. Ben could only go home with a disappointed face. But he didn't expect the police were already waiting. It turned out someone had reported him for trespassing, and he was going to be taken for administrative detention for 15 days. Seeing this, Ben hurriedly explained that he was trying to catch the monster. But as soon as he said this, not only did the police not believe him, even his father thought he had lost his mind. Seeing that no one believed him, Ben looked at his young stepmother. The flowers beside her quickly withered. It turned out the monster had left Mary's body and possessed the stepmother instead. Seeing this, Ben didn't hesitate. He grabbed something nearby and threw it. His father rushed over after hearing the noise. But now the stepmother, possessed by the monster, was curled up on the ground, crying like a victim. Seeing this, his father was furious and ordered the police to take Ben away immediately. But as soon as he got into the police car, Ben noticed that the stepmother was saying something to the police. Something was wrong. Ben quickly called out to his father, telling him to go check Mary's house no matter what. But at that moment, his father didn't listen, thinking it was just childish nonsense. As the police car drove further, Ben realized in horror that they were not going to the police station at all, but were instead heading toward the seaside. Then he was pressed down into the water like a small chick. Ben was about to be drowned alive. At the critical moment, the police suddenly regained some awareness. To avoid killing an innocent person, a policeman fired a shot at himself. At the same time, his father became curious about what Ben had just said. He entered Mary's house and checked the basement. What he saw was extremely terrifying. Mary and her husband were both dead. The woman's belly had been cut open, and she lay dead on the ground. The man was hanged from the beam. He forced himself to continue looking around despite his fear. Then he saw a pile of branches arranged in front of him. He was about to check it carefully, but the next second, his father was severely injured and fell down. He accidentally knocked over an oil lamp, and the fire quickly spread. The man couldn't hesitate and quickly ran away despite his injuries. However, the monster-possessed wife chased relentlessly. Even being hit with an iron rod didn't hurt her at all. Seeing that the monster was about to break free, at the last moment, Ben arrived. He didn't say a word and fired 2 shots at the monster. The monster fell to the ground. Ben hurriedly helped his father and tried to leave, but at that moment, a terrifying thing happened. The stepmother's body began to violently twist and turn. Soon, half of the monster's body had already come out. Seeing the situation was dangerous, the father and son quickly ran away. But as the fire spread rapidly and destroyed the chicken coop, Ben suddenly remembered his younger brother was in danger. Sure enough, when he ran back to the room, his brother was already gone. This time, Ben did not care about his own safety. He picked up gasoline and a rope and ran straight into the forest. After searching carefully, he finally found the monster's cave. Inside, it was completely dark. He could not see anything, and a very strong, foul smell of decay filled the air. Even though Ben was extremely scared, for the sake of his little brother, he went in without hesitation. He saw his brother unconscious, tied tightly with tree roots. Just as he was about to take him out, from deep inside the cave, he heard chewing sounds. Looking closer, he realized the monster was eating a child. Ben quickly picked up his gun, ready to shoot the monster, but in the blink of an eye, the monster had dragged the food away and disappeared. Seeing this, Ben handed his little brother to his girlfriend, waiting outside. Then he went back into the cave to search for his girlfriend's little sister, who had disappeared a few days ago. Fortunately, his efforts were not wasted, and he soon saw the little girl. But just as he was about to rescue her, the nurse-like monster suddenly attacked. It scratched Ben's face with its messy, cruel claws. In that critical moment, Ben quickly grabbed a tree branch and pierced it through the monster's neck. Finally, he managed to escape with the little girl to the cave entrance. But just as he was about to climb out, the monster grabbed his foot. Even though his girlfriend pulled with all her strength, she could not resist the monster's incredible power. It looked like Ben was about to be dragged back into the cave. At the crucial moment, his father arrived in the car. Under the bright lights, the monster was temporarily stunned. At the end of the story, the three of them helped each other and left the scene. It seemed like everything was over. But the next day, his girlfriend mysteriously gave Ben a flower. Back in the car, she smelled it carefully and realized it was a fake flower, and the petals had already wilted quite a bit. Remembering that the monster could make flowers wilt, Ben felt a little worried. Meanwhile, his girlfriend was out at sea with 3 children, but an eerie smile appeared on her face. It was clear that the monster was not truly defeated, and a new danger was about to begin. So that's today's story, and we will meet in the next episode.